Tesla stock is back in the game, up over 30% in the last 20 days. A crazy run up. The repricing, has it begun? Or is this just a fake head fake? Well, in this video, we are going into the fundamentals of Tesla and looking at the model to see what a strategic perspective actually reveals about the Tesla price and where we go from here. So I want to give you guys an update about the valuation model. We are going to look at the base case and all the updated numbers. Not too much has changed since my last update because my predictions so far are pretty much in line with what happened. But because the stock moved so much, I think it is time to take a second look, a closer look into the actual model here and see where we stand. So to give you a quick overview, we have this model here where I'm looking at the stock price, and before we go into the stock price projections and look at the real-time fair discounted cash flow fair future value model for this month, for September, and compare to the current stock price and see what the discount is we get on fair future value. Let me first explain the assumptions of the model. Okay, most important in this model are Robotaxi and Optimus sales projections and then the discounted cash flows. So let's first go into my Robotaxi assumptions. So you see what I'm assuming here. In 2024, you see a very minute number of Robotaxis. These are million Robotaxi fleet. So we have 0.00. This is 40,000. So basically, I'm talking about only 400 Robotaxis at the end of the year. No one knows the exact number right now, but we probably have 50, 100 driving around. No one knows the exact number. If you know more, leave it down in the comments. But we know Arizona is getting unlocked. San Francisco is unlocked with a giant area, much bigger than Uber. And we have Austin unlocked, also significantly bigger than Uber. So there must be a bunch of Robotaxis driving around, probably close to 100. Who knows? Maybe it's 200 already. I don't think so. Probably 100. But by end of the year, we are going into an exponential scaling now. I think 400 might be realistic. Doesn't really matter, to be honest. What is important? What happens next year? My projections here are not too many, but it's getting more serious. My projections for next year is that we will have 40,000 Robotaxis roaming around the earth. If that happens, we are off to the races, and that would lead to a major repricing of the Tesla stock towards the direction that is shown in this model. So this is the forcing function I'm talking about. And I'm always saying, if we reach above like something around 2,000 to make it very simple, I think we can reach 2,000 Robotaxis around May of next year. And once we reach 2,000 with no safety driver, we reach 40,000 in no time. Because you have to understand that this is a binary function. At the millisecond, Tesla can actually do that, has regulatory approval, and shows that the Robotaxis drive around with no driver. Do you know how many Robotaxis and cybercabs Tesla can manufacture? Easily a million a year, depending on how they actually set up the manufacturing lines. Cybercab is on track. Worst case, they're just producing affordable Model Ys. They can churn out 2 million of these per year. I think cybercabs, let's say conservatively, 600,000 a year. So you're talking about 50,000 cybercabs per month. So if I say 40,000 in 2026, that's 1 month production. Hey, creating these videos is a lot of work. Please like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Now let's get back to the video. So we don't have to be worried about production, obviously. We have to just be worried about, are they ready and can they do it? And that's the binary function here. Can Tesla actually do this whole thing? Driverless FSD. Version 14 is coming. Version 15 will be out probably in Q1, latest Q2. And I think this thing will be close to perfect. And then we have that happening. That is kind of the big bet that I'm making here. And if I'm wrong 1 year, the whole thing shifts 1 year, it doesn't actually change too much. So very likely next year, we will see the inflection point. We're not going to scale into millions of Robotaxis right away. You have to understand that. Still, every city needs approval and so on and so forth. So I think 40,000 in 2026 is kind of a realistic number. That's why it's the base case. I think this is the most likely to happen around there. And if you hit 40,000, you see my model is quite conservative, actually. I project then we are off to the races. but they still have to churn through all the regulatory red tape. So they're scaling to 150,000 robotaxis and close to 200,000 robotaxis deployed. Here's the fleet. Here's the robotaxi fleet. And here's the new robotaxis coming in. So this number is basically this number plus this number. And in 2028, we will have close to 600,000, then 1.6 million, 4 million, 9 million, 18 million, 32 million, and so on. Then you're off to the races. In the mid-2030s, you hit the 100 million. Well, actually a little later here. So it's pretty conservative, this whole model. So I think we hit 100 million robotaxis deployed by 2037. This is all easy stuff here, the tail end. It's all about the starting point, right? When is the breakthrough here? The demand for robotaxis globally is some massive amount. We have 1.4 billion cars. There's demand for at least 2 billion cars. Robotaxis, replace cars at a rate of 1 to 4 or something around this. At 1.6 billion cars, you could have 400 million robotaxis easily. Probably utilization of cars is going to go through the roof once it's cheaper with robocabs. You have robo tracking. So there is really no limit to the upside. It's all about the binary function. Can you actually do it? So that is why 2026 will be the all-decisive year of major repricing where Tesla goes into that thing, in my opinion, and is being understood as an autonomous vehicle platform. And Wall Street at that point would need to understand this is not Waymo, it's not Uber, it's something vastly bigger. That's what I call a forcing function. People will need to understand that because the cash will roll in like crazy. And when you look, talking about cash, if that happens, you see 4 billion in EBITDA added, but you also see very, very massive free cash flow added. So at that point, it becomes clear Tesla is on an insane trajectory. You see the EBITDA addition here that will then go through the roof. So before 2030, they will add 174 billion in EBITDA. This is like, what is that? 15 times larger than all of Tesla was in 2024 in terms of EBITDA, just with Robotaxi. So if that happens, 40,000 next year, it is absolutely game over. And we look at repricing. So what happens here with Optimus? Optimus sales, I'm even more conservative. The install base is here, the total Optimus fleet. And here's the new units deployed in millions. Let's look at 2026 because it's not even really commercial 2025. In 2026, I'm saying we are looking at 20,000 Optimus. Or maybe you're saying I'm a little aggressive here. But these numbers actually don't really matter too much, right? What matters is here when it goes into scale. So you can also look at 2000, because if I change anything here, it doesn't change much in the financial model. It's all about 2028, right? So we can debate this. Will they hit 20,000 Optimus in 2026? Probably not, because it's not the time to really scale this. There's some tweaking going on. Will they hit 50,000 Optimus in 2027? I don't know. Will they hit 100,000 in 2028? I think so. I really think so. So while I cannot completely predict 2026 and 27, I think they will hit 100,000 Optimus in 2028 because there is a forcing function. They have to. The Chinese are very aggressive. Figure one has nothing else to do. People will come out with tens of thousands of humanoids in 2027. There is no doubt about this, the market. So Tesla has to move. Also, I'm very bullish on AGI. I think we will see major crazy breakthroughs in artificial intelligence. We will have full-on unmitigated artificial general intelligence in 2026. I think the nature of artificial intelligence will actually see a larger gap than people think between AGI and ASI. Right? Some people said, at the millisecond you have artificial general intelligence, it will go into genius mode and develop ASI within months. I don't think so. For technical reasons, I think AGI will be a little different than people think. And that's good news. We will have more time to really exploit artificial general intelligence economically, progress-wise, before the real doom can happen. So I think AGI happens sooner and more dramatically with much higher economic impact than anyone thinks, except for me. I think it's going to happen next year, the great breakthroughs. And there will be massive disruption at scale all the way through 2030, with the peak panic and disaster economically happening in 2028. In 2027, we'll already see panic, but pure economic panic, not like doom panic. And ASI will be delayed. I don't know to what point, but probably around 2029, 2030, when things get a little scary. And then, that direction. But that means for the humanoid robots that we will see major breakthroughs, because this is mostly a software problem. I'm one of the few people who say that. Most people say it's hardware. Of course, there are many hardware problems, but Tesla is definitely going to solve them by 2027. So the question is, can they really be intelligent by then? I think yes. So I think that's why it's a base model. 100,000 Optimus in 2028 produced, not crazy. And once we hit that, then you can go into growth. You grow 200%, 200%, 150% in terms of install base. So you hit the 1 million Optimus robots produced in 2030. Well, yeah, exactly, produced that year. And then you go off to the races. And the EBITDA is pretty significant on these things because they make more than robotaxis. That's kind of the base model. Okay. And if you add all these things up, of course, that's all also on the back of a good core business. Energy is going to grow very nicely. But what you see when you sum it all up, you basically see pretty nice free cash flow. I think in 2026, we could actually get over 7 billion in free cash flow if this robotaxi thing, turns out the way I think, and if the core business goes the way I think. And then in 2027, you can start seeing the real inflection. 18 billion free cash flow, 40 billion free cash flow, and then 2029, it goes all nuts. You hit 100 billion in free cash flow, not even EBITDA, but free cash flow, because these new businesses are super heavy free cash flow. Then you hit 200 billion, and then you hit $1 trillion in free cash flow in 2032. You can imagine what that does to the stock price. It's going to be pretty good. Okay, so that's my base case. There's a bear case. I'm not going to go into the different cases. The bull case is more aggressive. The bear case is much more conservative and says everything goes wrong. Even then, it looks good. So you understand now what that means. And then this model actually translates these metrics into discounted cash flow, future value-based share price. You see here my price target 2030. I'm thinking around 8,000. Risk adjusted, 8,000 share price, so that's pretty good. But who cares about 2030? What does it all mean for us today? Let's go into this model and then we conclude the video with that, because that's what you're asking yourself, of course. What does it all mean for me now? So here's 2025. My price target, it's not a price target. My fair future value in December is 847. That's pretty steep. I don't think the share price goes to 847, but that is the fair future value. Pretty conservatively calculated on discounted cash flow and risk discounted even more. I have a pretty tame discount rate for discount cash flow, but I add on top of it the risk of failure. That is a different model. 847 is, I think, the fair price. I don't think the stock goes there, but I think the stock goes probably over 500 significantly. And then you see here the discount you get. Here's the discount. And here's the current upside. How much more does this thing have to go up in order to actually hit what it should be? And if you look at September, the stock should be, if the market would be rational and see the future accurately, the stock should be right now at 747, but it's at 430. So you get a 42% discount and you have a 73% upside right now. You have a 73% intrinsic upside of the share. And what does it mean? Well, that number at some point, Wall Street has to recognize that. That's what I call forcing functions, very likely next year, not this year. And if this happens, this number goes towards zero. So it has to catch up. That's why I think Tesla is a very good investment right now, because it won't take too long, in my opinion. It should happen the next 18 months, maybe even 12 months, that this has to go to zero, this has to go to zero, and this number has to approach this number, or this number has to approach this number, only that this number is also going up all the time. End of 2026, the fair future value would be 1,400 in December 2026. Now, does it mean the share price goes there? If the things happen the way I think, the share price can easily go there, will probably go there, and will probably go above that. And then we have a negative discount. So then it's time to trim back a lot. Not a lot, but... So that's what I'm thinking right now. I wanted to share this with you guys. So here you see the current month. It's always good to look at that model monthly. 42% discount, 73% intrinsic upside. This is not a short-term prediction of share price. It's just telling you fundamentally where the differential is between where it should be and where it is, and how much value is in the stock that you get for free. That's why I'm very exposed to Tesla. It's my favorite stock. Even better than Bitcoin and Ethereum. They're also very strong. But this is hard to beat, especially because this number is going up from 847 to 1,400 if my base model is correct. So I hope you enjoyed this. This was your quick update. What's going on with Tesla stock and where things should be. Go to pioneerlands.net where you get these models and can also discuss with a great community of over 3,000 pioneers who are into Tesla and myself, of course. We do great things there. In Pioneerlands, you also very soon, in the next 2 weeks probably, will get an amazing new tool set where you can enter your portfolio, you can enter your assumptions of all kinds of stocks, and you will see how much money you are projected to have in the future. Soon you will also see your risk profile, all kinds of amazing things. You have scenario planning. You can get very sophisticated and effective without breaking your brain about your financial future, which is a very important thing. So I hope to see you very soon, maybe in Pioneerlands or here on the channel. Subscribe and like, and see you very soon.